also the abortion conversation. And it's very interesting and sad, in my opinion, how the abortion conversation has moved from pro-life and pro-choice to pro-abortion and anti-abortion. And it just shows the progression of our culture today in assuming abortion is the right place to be. And conservatives or Republicans are anti-abortion. So they're what they'll say is they're anti-women, they're anti-human women's health and so on. And I would just, did you have any comments on that?
No, I'm just, it's very heartbreaking to even think that, like in other countries, like you said, because it's not just, yes, we are in America, it's the US, but we're also speaking to a global audience. And so other people would even just view America, because America is one of the powerful countries in the world, and to be so reduced to the point where abortion has become like a major determiner in who to vote for, I think it's very pitiful. It's very, very heartbreaking.
Well, I want to dig into that a little bit more, because there's this idea that being pro-life is anti-women, and that's not the case. The statements that are being said from the Democratic Party right now are that the Democratic Party trusts women. And apparently to oppose abortion is to not show a trust in women. And, there's lots of people coming up with these slogans and these ideas. But the idea is abortion is not good for women. Abortion, you got to ask the question, what is an abortion? And what does it do to women? Abortion is the killing of a human life within the womb. Now, and there's no other way to get around that if you look at the facts. So if we trust women, we'll give them the facts. And the Democratic position is that they oppose sonograms for women in crisis pregnancies. The Christian position is we love that woman that's in that scary place of an unplanned and crisis pregnancy situation. But we also love that child who it's a child because it has a human heart. Yes. It has unique human DNA. Yes. It has its own blood type, unique from the mother. What being has a human heart and human DNA and human blood type? Like, that's a human. You can't, you have, and so if we gave women that information and we allowed them to see that infant in their womb through a sonogram, the percentages of people, the woman keeping the baby is very high. Yeah. And what's the downside of that? I get it that it's a scary place. I don't know what I would have felt if I had impregnated my wife before we got married, right? That would have been a scary place to be. It's like, hey, we're not ready for that yet. But I'm telling you, if you move towards giving life to another person in the most literal of states, if you do what is good for the life of another person, you actually become a better person yourself. Yeah. So the concepts of saying we're going to eliminate that child so that this woman can have some other future that's more desirable is actually, again, not telling women all the truth. Because women who give their child a chance, why don't we have more surveys on that? They're not going to go down on that.
I don't want to cut you off, and I really do not want to share this. I was almost aborted. And so abortion, it's a very personal. It's very personal to me, because I imagine, and they would say the circumstances are not ideal. It's different when
that's right.
A child, because I know in some situations the child is going to be deformed. And even with that, there is no mistake. You see, that's the thing where Christianity still trumps over everything. Because when we believe that God is supreme over everything, he doesn't make a mistake. Even though the pregnancy may have been a mistake, yes, I was a mistake, a huge mistake. However, I'm glad that I was not aborted. And I'm here today, and I have 4 boys, and I'm doing all these things for the kingdom and for the society and for the world. And what a blessing I have been to my family, my mom. And, it goes beyond. Sometimes you think you're trying to solve a temporal need by aborting a baby and being free, but you have no idea that baby is actually going to be the savior. You have no idea what God would use that child for. And beyond that, the world right now, there's so much, there's population decline in so many countries like Korea and Asia and Japan. They are putting in place all these policies to try to get people to, first of all, even get married and even have a child. They are trying to do everything in their power to have more babies. So why are we here in America trying to do the very opposite? It's heartbreaking.
Great points. Excellent points. And thanks for sharing that. The idea that one person could make such a huge difference on a whole society, and to somehow say, because I'm not ready to make that commitment of love and sacrifice needed, that I'm going to dismiss that so that I can be comfortable, or I don't have to deal with that, the stress of giving life and preserving life and promoting life, is so sad. And that's not really the society we want to live in.
No.
We would actually prefer to live in a society where people are willing to do what is good for others, even when it costs them something.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So that becomes a spiritual conversation already. What is good for someone includes their mental and spiritual being as well as their physical well-being. Now that's the Christian view there. And to think, oh, one person could make such a huge impact, and to think the consequences of not getting an abortion would be a human being. That's the consequence. That is a beautiful thing. What a gift. We need more surveys where women that have been being forced to have children since Roe v. Wade has been turned down, we need to have interviews with them a year later.
Post and see what's happening. Yeah.
That's exactly right. And to see that 1-year-old child, and to see the women and say, do you regret this? Yeah. They'll probably say it's hard and I need people to help me. And Christians should be people to help. That's why we support crisis pregnancy centers. That's why we support ways to help women give life and to become the right women, because they're becoming mothers to children, their children. Yeah. These aren't random children. These are their children. And to argue to the contrary is not trusting women. Mm-hmm. Argue to the contrary has to prevent giving them the right information about what that being is, that human being in their life, and what life would be like if they gave that child a chance, their child.
It's empowering. You're not cutting your, but Jordan Peterson has said, he said something. He said, you haven't really lived until you've become a parent, because you understand what sacrificing yourself for another human being. You just get it in such a deep, meaningful way. And I have friends who volunteer at pregnancy crisis centers, and they always tell me, and they're like, when those girls, young ladies come in and they see the sonogram, the heartbeat of their child, everything changes. It's just everything changes when you just see that there's a heartbeat, and it's just so beautiful, really.
It's incredible. It's a miracle. It's one of the beautiful things about life itself. And even secular studies would say what make people happiest and healthiest is having long-term loving relationships. Yeah. There's a Harvard study on that. And to think that I'm going to not have this child is going to give me some better life. Yes, it might be more difficult for a season, but think big picture. That child is going to become a beautiful person. You can help shape and love that person so that they would be a loving person and love the right things, and then contribute to society and contribute to others, and hopefully contribute to another family.
I love what you said. Think the big picture. Don't look at right now. And if someone would have told you what your life would have been 10 years before, you would have probably had no idea that this is how your life would be. So think 10 years, 20 years, how is life going to be like with that child? And, the pursuit of all hedonistic pleasures, and thinking that would make us the happiest. And the research you're talking about, I love it. I took a course in the science of well-being. And so we did study the signs of what makes happy people happy. And like he said, it's relationship with other people. It's not all the things we usually are chasing, more money, more cars, more of all these things. Those things do not give joy and fulfillment and happiness. The things that really give happiness are the human connections. And so think that, baby. I love this. And not to get off, but I'm going to take us to the next question.
Thank you for watching. This episode concludes our voting series. If you have not watched the first in this series with Caleb Crutchfield, please do so. If you have also not watched the second in this series with Evangelist Sonny, please do so. The links will be in the description or also around this video somewhere. May God bless you, and please ensure that you are voting for candidates whose policies reflect God's kingdom agenda, whose policies reflect Christian values. God bless you. Please subscribe, please share, and please like.